Hey guys, it's Cyrus of Chaos. Today I'm here with Eliza Stone, an American fencer who is currently ranked number 4th in the world for women's sabre. And today we're going to be talking about the final from the Budapest World Championships this year between Sofia Velikaya, the current and then world number 2, and Olga Kharlan, the current and then world number 1. Now these two have fenced each other 21 times before this final, and Velikaya has won 11 of those times.
The venue here was beautiful. The final strip was placed in the center of the room with a huge audience all around.
Yeah, it was really cool. Also, the Hungarians are so knowledgeable about fencing. It's really cool to just be in the same room as them.
Yeah.
Because everyone cheers at the right time.
Right. Unlike American audiences, unfortunately.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can increase the. So the bar is right under here. There it is.
Oh yeah. Oh nice. Yeah.
When the leading fencer reaches 8, it's a cutting weapon. You can score with the length of the blade as well as the tip, and the whole of the upper body is the target. Wow.
Nice parry.
That's like a very classic touch for Olga because she sets up perfect distance and then pulls for a parry.
Yep.
Very strong in her parries. And Velikaya is very strong in her attack, so that's a classic touch for both.
And I really like this because she's trying to take the blade, but she doesn't really get the right line, but it doesn't matter because the distance
is so good.
Exactly. And that's kind of what it should be, right? So many people will just plant themselves and take the parry, but I mean, the parry is really for security more than anything else. If you're doing it right, you shouldn't even need it.
It should be distance first, and then parry is your last resort.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what she just did right there.
First, and then look up at the hands. The feet will determine which one is deciding.
Again, a very aggressive attack from Velikaya, which is also classic. Very hard to defend against. Especially with the attack confère. So when you're the defender taking a parry against that, it's 2 blade actions, attack right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very difficult.
Yeah, and she's great at finding the blade, too.
Right.
Another reason that you should just pull the person short.
Yep, you got to keep moving.
So the referee has to decide who has the attack in the final.
Attack in preparation.
Yep.
Velikaya. They both prepare right there, and then Velikaya starts the final attack.
Mm-hmm. Seen a lot of different types of actions already, and it's only 4 touches in.
Yes. They're not wasting time, and they fence each other so many times now, they know exactly what the other person's going to do, so get right to it.
Get out of the way, and then it becomes your right of way, or parry your opponent's blade. So no separation given there. The third option is to counter, as long as you don't get hit. Well, there's only one light on the box. You can only go one way.
Ooh.
For those of you who are new to watching Sabre, think of it
and
as
both parry monsters.
Once the action leaves the center of the piece, they take turns. So right there is Kharlan's turn, and then Sofia.
That circle parry is actually classic also for Velikaya. She picks up an attack from any angle is essentially picked up with that circle parry.
Mm.
She's not doing a classic parry that you'd be taught in a lesson. She just circles and picks it all up.
Yeah.
Very effective.
Try to steal the turn or do something to win it back.
There she tries it again, but Olga knows it's coming.
Yes, I liked that adjustment from her, because the last time she did try to take a parry, like you were saying before, but this time she felt that same action was coming, and, that was the next step in the tactical wheel.
Correct.
Well, we knew this would be tight. They've just traded blows for the last 7 points.
Ooh!
So again, Olga set that up perfectly with the small steps off the line.
Mm-hmm.
And took over perfectly, but she just wanted it a little too much.
Oh, yeah.
But Olga is in control with the footwork.
Yeah, it looked like she kind of scared Velikaya into stopping. And then just right there, something, I don't know, her shoe got stuck or something.
Yeah. That's the whole point of doing 2 small steps and sort of feinting and stopping. You're hoping that the opponent gets scared and stops in their own footwork so you can take over.
Yep.
It does it perfectly.
Yeah, it was a good provocation.
Toe bite.
Wow, nice attack.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, very composed. These two are both having trouble controlling the other person in the center.
Oh!
Wow.
Wow, nice touch.
Kharlan's technique
That
is
was
so
beautiful
beautiful.
control from
Sometimes when
Olga.
she's
But
fencing, it looks like
if
she's
you'll notice,
pulling less.
Velikaya is almost not committing as much to her attack. Like she'll go short twice because she's so confident in her distance and in her defense. It didn't work this time, but it will in future.
Yeah. I think that was the first time when Velikaya missed her long attack that someone has missed a long attack this bout. Every other attack has hit so far.
Right, but that's the mark of a good fencer. If you're
Finishing your
at
attacks,
level, you should be landing at least 90% of your attacks.
yeah.
Just math at this point.
Yeah.
She was so close to pulling her short.
Olga got stuck on her footwork, and Velikaya's attack was good.
And I liked that one too, because this is also like the next step in the tactical wheel. So the last two times she got parried, so this time she does a longer, deeper attack with a feint cut. And Kharlan still almost got it.
Right, but she knew to adjust the distance.
Yeah.
She knew Kharlan would not be going in for an attack in preparation.
Mm-hmm.
You have to read the game and make educated guesses based on what your opponent has done already.
And why did you think that she thought Kharlan would not be going for an attack and prep there?
Because she hasn't so far. She's been going mainly for parries. And if you're just being an entirely rational fencer, you have to determine your next step based on what your opponent has already shown in the bout.
And
you're
not
going to suddenly change.
And not make any assumptions and just change for no reason?
Correct.
Okay,
you
good.
change once your opponent has changed. You don't change based on a guess.
There are people watching who should take note of that, because this is a conversation that I have with people all the time. Making assumptions based on things that are not happening. And here, I think that's a really good example, because you should be working on the assumption that they know the parry is working. So that should be the action that you're scared of at this point. Once you start getting hit in prep, then you'll have to deal with something else. But until that starts happening, just deal with the parry that's right in front of you. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. If they haven't changed, it isn't happening yet. And so if you change based on a guess, you're just going to confuse yourself.
Yes, exactly.
So people rarely suddenly change their tactics. When they do, then you adjust accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stick with what works for now.
Perfect. And this is happening in the finals of World Championships. So,
Right.
Obviously a strategy that works.
And it did just work for Velikaya.
Yeah.
And now
And-
Kharlan adjusted.
exactly.
With the attack preparation. And now that she has adjusted, Velikaya will do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Following touch.
The initiative has the momentum right now.
Attack and preparation from Velikaya now.
I agree.
I think, unless it went on the guard.
That's what I thought too. I didn't hear this.
That happens sometimes. Kharlan is way ahead with the feet, but
Oh, yeah,
Velikaya
no
is
way.
a little bit ahead with the hand.
That's super prep.
Yeah.
This is one of those that could go either way depending on.
Sometimes it's hard
the
to feel
referee and
because
how he
what
calls
Kharlan
things
did is
consistently.
she tried to accelerate off of the feet
Mm-hmm.
and hope that it'd be attack counterattack.
But you still have to have like some semblance of going towards the target at that point.
Right, but she made a mistake with her hand, and Velikaya cut in at the exact right
Yes,
moment.
and the fact that she cut in at the right moment is very important.
Right.
You know,
It's a bit strange. I think Velikaya took over, but it's really hard to tell without.
Referee says that he saw both
being
of
there
them
in the
try to
moment
take
for the
blade,
sound.
but Kharlan feels that she was more in control than Velikaya was and asked him to
what it looked like to
take the
me,
blade, but
especially
Kharlan
here, is that both of them are just making a cut.
I would say Velikaya took over the attack first, the second attack first. So any blade contact is technically Olga's parry. But
It looks more. It looks lower down on Olga's guard, but I don't know. In my opinion, if they're both just trying to make a cut and they both happen to just, hit blades, it's better to just throw it out. In my opinion.
What I saw the
Yeah.
first time, I saw it again the second time.
That's
no
fair.
touch.
Nice pull. So that time, that time she was operating under the assumption that Kharlan was going to try to hit her in prep, so she finished
Right.
shorter.
But now it's a 50-50.
Yeah.
Kharlan's point.
So Kharlan was a step ahead that time.
Though again, Kharlan did go back for her regular parry. So you have to really be cold-blooded in your strategy. You have to understand that fencers rely on their favorite actions. Kharlan has gone for, 6 parries and 1 attack and prep.
Yeah.
So in Velikaya's situation, she should have assumed Kharlan was going to go back for another parry.
Mm-hmm.
That's all mathematical.
Yeah. So you're playing the odds there.
Exactly.
I love the slow-mo of the blades.
Some of these fabulous slow motion
Yeah, it's pretty.
shots.
Like, they're so whippy.
I love watching the blades in slow motion.
And I just said it in the video, too.
With the second period, Olga Kharlan has an 8-5 lead.
All right, so, sorry, before we start, would you... What advice would you give to Velikaya now?
Again, I would. Well, Kharlan is going for a lot of parries in the box and second intention, so like in and out, in the hopes that Velikaya will stop and Kharlan can take over.
Which has been
Given
working well
that-
for her so far.
It's working for Kharlan, but given that Velikaya has to make a change, she has to work more from long attack, work with the blade, do attack confere the way she did her first touch, and that way she's going to be taking away Kharlan's parry or post in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And then just do not stop in the middle when Kharlan tries to do it in out. You have to just be very much working off of the attack right now. Be very aggressive forward if I were Velikaya.
Okay. And not just aggressive forward, but aggressive forward and long.
And long, yes. You don't want to be doing advanced lunge here. You want to be going for 2 advanced, 3 advanced lunge, not looking for attack in the box. You're looking for long attack. And to protect yourself from a parry or an attack and prep, you're looking to go with the blade, attack confere.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Let's see if she does that.
Period, Olga Kharlan has an 8-5 lead. Nothing in Sabre, but she did.
Nope, now she's still kind of playing Kharlan's game.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lead in Sabre means the least of the 3 weapons.
Yeah, she didn't stop, or she did, but she didn't stop as forcefully that time.
That was slightly different. She knew Kharlan was going to set up an in-out, and she just stopped first, waited for Kharlan to stop, and then took over. So that also works.
So you still need to stick with your game first, and you need.
So this right here, I didn't realize in real time how close this was, but look at how close it was in the slow-mo.
Oh, wow. That's called distance control right there.
Yes, it is.
15th touch.
That's beautiful.
So you still need to stick with your game plan the whole time.
That was crazy.
In a row, scoring a few points in a row, working out your opponent.
That's
Well,
attack
my
left for
priest
me.
on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, the priest on the left.
Important in Sabre.
So she's
They're really calling those now.
yes. That's a situation that's like a flavor of the month touch that they've been calling the last couple seasons, where
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what happens here. The only thing they care about is whose feet start first, and you can see after the stop, Kharlan is moving noticeably ahead of Velikaya.
Right, and notice it's not about exactly the footwork, it's about momentum. So if your body is going forward, it's less important about the details of the footwork.
Yeah, just who starts and commits first. That's a good point.
So it's a gut feeling that the referee gets that this body is moving forward first.
Yeah, and I actually like this trend because it used to be that you could say like, oh, well, this person stopped first, or like the first attack wasn't committed, so it wasn't a real attack, and like you stopped second, and then it was like this one. But now none of that matters. It's just
Yeah,
regardless
I think
who's going
service.
first, like that's the touch.
yeah. And once you know that that's how it's going to be, that's the game, you can then adjust your footwork accordingly.
Yeah.
Because you're going to meditate stopping and taking over. You're not going to premeditate watching and stopping.
Yes, exactly. It's something that you can work with as well.
That touch the referee sees Kharlan start a little ahead of Velikaya.
That was nice.
Simultaneous.
Kharlan is adjusting more than Velikaya is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
There's the
There's
attack
the
affair you were
attack.
talking
That's
about.
what I wanted Velikaya to do.
this half than she was in the first half of changing her preparation in the center, so it's harder for Kharlan to feel where she
See,
is.
Kharlan goes for a parry, but it doesn't matter because Velikaya goes for attack on fair. It's
Yep.
really annoying for the person trying to parry, but it's legitimate.
Yes.
Close the distance.
I'm not sure what Velikaya was trying to do here.
It's all about that initial step, those initial foot movements.
Do you think she thought Kharlan was going to stop and try to take over?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one of those touches that's just random.
And it's not just
You
about being
can't really
fast, it's about
control
the
as much.
acceleration. So
The other person
How
happened to
fast
start
can you be
earlier
from being
because she
slow?
happened to set up different action than what was expected.
Mm-hmm.
Just one of those luck touches.
Step in.
yeah, changing the distance is very important.
Oh, I think she just got whacked on the knee or something.
Velikaya just
Yeah, I was
taking
trying to figure out
on
what happened.
the knee.
I'm not sure.
Did they call the attack
I'm waiting
or
for the
parry?
replay to
They
come up.
gave it attack from the right.
It's possible she also
Yeah,
took a
okay.
bad step and like twisted it a little bit. Maybe she did. Maybe she did just get.
Oh, she whacked
I think
herself
she
in the
hit
knee.
herself
Whoops.
in the knee with the bell guard on the way
That
down.
hurts.
Yeah, it does. We've all done that before.
Yep. And I'd say attack from the left.
Well, they didn't say anything.
Yes, they aren't calling it.
That was
They
attack from the
attack in
left.
preparation from the left.
Yeah.
So
Velikaya
Velikaya has made the change to look for long attack here, but she's not doing it with the blade or with conviction.
Yeah, I think
That Kharlan saw that change and now is just going for attack and prep. So Kharlan, every step of the way, is adjusting better.
yes, the preparation that Velikaya makes here is well. Let's watch it in real time because it's a little bit. So it doesn't look like she wants to finish short. And in order for this action to work, you need to make it look like you're doing the same thing that you were doing before, and then
Right.
adjust your footwork after that.
Right. It's all about commitment and showing the referee.
Yes,
want
and
it.
and showing Kharlan. But here she's so upright, and it's very obvious, at least to me from the side, that she's watching and waiting, and Kharlan saw it too and just went in. Whereas if it was like a little more aggressive looking, maybe Kharlan would have gone backwards, and then you can transition that to a long attack.
Right, right. I think part of the problem for Velikaya is that when she's fencing other people who aren't as perfect in their attacks and prep as Kharlan is, they'll go for attack and prep against that waiting long attack, and the referees sometimes just still call it as attack, counterattack for Velikaya. So I'm sure she's confused by some of that. I've seen a lot of it. She just goes for that attack, counterattack every time.
Yeah, that's a good observation too. The tool is so good normally that when it's not working, it's confusing.
Right. Now she tried to go for attack on fair again.
Yeah.
Velikaya is,
I think she got
in
it.
my opinion,
Velikaya,
she's
at
not.
least.
watching Kharlan to try to push her out of the center, and in the moment when she tries to decide whether she should finish or
No,
go,
no.
Kharlan
That's
is
weird.
cutting into that.
He's already going.
It was like she was trying to go for it and then realized Olga wasn't on her
It's hard to see,
On
but
her
it's
left
an important call to make because
and adjusted.
if the referee doesn't make that
So I think it's
decision,
attack and
the
prep
less
from
experienced referee,
Kharlan.
Yeah, I
it makes it
agree.
really hard for the defending fencer.
I'm surprised that she asked for a video on that one, although it might have just been to
The
just
ability
take a
push
second to
as much as they
think.
want.
I think that's what it was.
That time Kharlan came in and
Ooh.
stopped.
I think
Yeah.
Kharlan would have had that if she hadn't tried to take the blade.
Exactly.
But there was a tempo where she could have taken over. Like right here, she could have started moving first, but instead she tried to take the blade, so she lost her chance.
Time
Yep.
Kharlan came in and
That's
stopped.
okay.
And tried to take the blade.
Oh, shoot. I don't know. Yeah.
I love the Ukraine mask.
These refs are so
Oh, yeah,
experienced
it's
to see
pretty.
everything.
Samo.
Well, now Velikaya's closed it to within just one.
The box is so difficult these days, though it is less bad than it used to be.
Yeah.
It really comes, instead of being hand or foot, it's a combination of the two, and it just depends on the referee's gut feeling of who wants it more and who has more momentum.
Kharlan is ready for it and goes around
Which
the blade.
honestly is the only way to kind of make sense of it. So at this point, Olga has to maintain focus if she wants it.
Kharlan's coming in
Yeah.
looking
Same mistake.
The referee says you could have taken over and done attack and prep because Velikaya was waiting, but instead you searched for the blade right there, and then again, and so it's
She waits too long.
Right.
Yeah, she did.
She could have taken over there because Velikaya steps back.
Exactly, but instead she tried to take the blade twice.
Velikaya was waiting, but instead you searched for the blade right
Like
there.
she could have gone in any of these times, but
And so it's still right away from the right.
And when she does go, it's at the same time Velikaya goes, so it's still attack.
mm-hmm.
And now Velikaya is just stuck on that parry forward idea and isn't adjusting.
Yeah. It didn't work the last 3 times she's done, or now with that one, it hasn't worked the last 3 times she's done that. So I would personally either scrap that or try to do it a little smaller.
Right. When those don't work, it's usually because your advances at the beginning are too large.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at this point she's a little confused because Olga's making more changes than she is.
Yes.
And the momentum and has the energy.
Yeah, it seems like whatever Velikaya is doing, Kharlan is 1 step ahead of her tactically.
Right. But they've both made so many changes. It's still a very good bout to watch.
Mm-hmm. Wow, nice pull.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a great attack.
That's a nice attack.
Yes, it was. I like the pull as well because a lot of people make 1 or 2 steps and then get stuck, but she looked like even though her balance doesn't look great here,
Yeah.
she gets it back really quickly and is able to take several steps back, which kind of negates the threat of the remise immediately.
Right.
And like that's a safe distance to be at to start your attack.
Right. A lot of people pull short and immediately try a riposte. Half the time, the attack may not actually have finished yet, so it's a question of did their foot land or not, and it's just confusing. It's much better to pull completely short like this with
Yes.
an extra step or 2, make it clean, and then start your attack.
Yes, I called this a complete action, whereas I call what you were just describing a half action. And it's always better to go for a complete action. Like,
Yes.
that way you're not begging the referee for anything. It's just...
You're not basing it off of, details.
Yes. It's not technically correct, it's just... She missed. It's very objective.
Right.
And then I get asked a lot by people, like, how can fencers, like, hop up and down from when they're attacking or get away with, like, having their blade back and out of the way? And the answer is the distance. So, like, look as she's moving forward, anyone who's watching, look at the distance that Kharlan is at. There's no way that Kharlan can land a counterattack from right there. Maybe if she gets a tiny bit closer, but Velikaya realizes and stops a little bit.
Right.
Like, this is a very safe distance. And again, like, that's a threatening distance. So again, Velikaya stops.
Right. There's no rush for the person attacking. You do not need to go full speed. It's actually much smarter to go slower, do a stage, put some pressure, let the defender kind of get scared and open the distance, and then you have more time to be confident in your attack.
Exactly.
Stage and going slow and taking your time as the attacker is much more successful.
From the right distance, too.
Right.
And did you see how close that was to missing? First of all, look at this fake counterattack that convinces Velikaya to finish, and then she gets her by like millimeters on the mask.
Yes, it's beautifully set up from both sides.
Yeah.
That was a perfect setup for a parry on Kharlan's side, and a perfect setup for attack on Velikaya's side, and just the parry just didn't work for her.
Yeah.
The left.
Well, the scores are level.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And now Velikaya is catching Kharlan, watching and looking forward.
And if you notice, the last touch or two, Kharlan is slightly faster, slightly more aggressive, but also slightly more nervous looking.
Mm-hmm.
More spastic almost. Velikaya always has this very calm attitude about her. For better or worse, whether she wins or loses, she always keeps that attitude. And eventually people get to see that and they get scared by it. So now watch Velikaya. She's going to keep on with that super calm, cool outward appearance and try to use confidence to win the last 2 touches.
There's this Netflix documentary called Go where Google has a team that teaches a computer to play the game Go using machine learning. And once the computer program is doing really well, they challenge the number 1 Go player in the world to a game or a series of games. And the computer wins the first few games. And at one point, I think in like the 3rd game or something, the human player was saying in an interview afterwards how like a lot of the time you can read the emotions of the other person, but it really freaked him out that the computer just like it had nothing that he could read. And you saying that about Velikaya reminds me of that.
Yes, it's very hard to fence someone who seems unfazed
all the time, no matter what.
Right, and she doesn't always win with it, but she almost always does.
Yeah, Iceman.
Because people are scared by it. It's all psychology. At this point, 13-13 for the World Championship title, it's really going to come down to confidence and whether Kharlan can have her own confidence.
Yeah, and having that attitude is so important, right? Because you can know what to do, and you have to just do it and not be scared. Even though it's 2 touches to become world champion, like it's so important, but if you know what you're supposed to do, you have to have faith in yourself and just do it.
Exactly. You can freak yourself out to no end, but it's going to happen one way or the other, so you might as well have fun with it and trust yourself.
Yeah, and one more thing before we continue. For the majority of the bout, it's looked like Kharlan was in control. And even though the score was close, it always looked like Kharlan was like more comfortable and controlling the action. And for the last few touches, I think the last 3 maybe, it's looked like Velikaya has been the one in control.
Right. Because she's kept her cool and her confidence.
Mm-hmm. And the last couple actions, Kharlan has finished short. She's tried to go long, and every single time, Velikaya just shows her the opposite and just counters her very easily. So we'll see if she can make a change here and be a little more in control of the bout herself.
So now the way Kharlan is looking down at her foot is her giving herself an extra 2 seconds to think about her next strategy.
Mm-hmm.
The referee is not going to say fence until the fencer has their head up and blade up.
Yes, exactly.
She's going to give herself an extra 2 seconds to think and get her thoughts together and her psychology together. It's a good strategy to use.
Yeah.
Well, we knew it would be tight.
If your brain is an asset, you have to give yourself a chance to use it between touches.
Yep. And
it looks like Velikaya is for me.
Velikaya's on a roll.
Yeah.
13 all. Vasil Malenchev can opt to go and have a look at the video. Doesn't need to be asked. Talks to Luigi Martellotti. Comes back. And gives
Yep,
it to
I agree.
Velikaya. Now the Russian is in the lead and just 1 point away.
But now the pressure's on Velikaya.
Oh!
So composed.
Olga has nothing to lose. She's going to go for that crazy attack.
Like I said before,
If Velikaya had made a real pull like she'd been doing earlier, that attack would have missed.
Yes.
But I think Kharlan was so committed, she wasn't expecting it and kind of was caught a little off balance.
Wow.
Yes. This is why sometimes just going for crazy fast attacks off the line will really work. You surprise your opponent.
Like I said before, in the semifinal, it's so much easier to finish short, but to extend your attack...
And now it's the same thing as 13-13. Let's see who can think better and keep their cool.
Velikaya went for an action, Kharlan extended. Oh.
Well, he's got to go to have a look.
So for anyone watching who doesn't know this, at 14-14 or in overtime in foil or épée, the last touch is replay automatic, which means they can't make a call. They're not allowed to. They have to go look at the video, and then they come back and make a call.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to call that bout on that touch.
So,
I think it's right simultaneous.
who's going to win the gold?
Oh!
Settled the silver. Kharlan attacking. Wow. Finishes.
Oh my goodness. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
It almost feels like she kind of gave that away. Like there wasn't... I mean, I guess you could say Kharlan is making her stop. I think she's trying to go for like a pull action or something.
Well, they both are. This is kind of the safer... Statistically, this is the safer action.
But you can see here Velikaya gives it up instead of going forward.
Yep, and then Velikaya doesn't execute it as well, and now is forced into defense.
Yeah, which is a big problem in this bout.
Here you can see, look, she stands up. Velikaya, it's a good thing and a bad thing, her coolness, her cool, I don't care attitude. Because now it's coming in and it's hurting her, because she's not quite as focused. And Kharlan executes a perfect attack.
Ooh, so close.
Wow.
If she'd gotten her the wrist, that might have been enough time to lock out.
Yeah, maybe. And it's amazing that in our sport, millimeters and milliseconds can determine the winner of the world championship.
In Budapest.
Yes. Which is also very beautiful, because then it comes down to the details and which athlete will really work on those details.
Yeah.
Title. Olga Kharlan from Ukraine.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's fitting that the two of them were so
Gratulalo.
dominant all day, and the final
Good for
score
her.
was 15-14. No one was able to
Yeah.
establish dominance over the other. It came down to a few
She's so
centimeters
nice,
on
so
the last touch
Yeah.
happy.
to determine who world champion was.
It's good to see that kind of fencing doing well.
Yes, yes.
That was an amazing bout.
So what are your thoughts on the bout now that it's over?
I think it was a very strategical, smart bout from both sides.
Exactly.
Kharlan was leading at the beginning. Velikaya adjusted pretty much the way we thought she would. Kharlan adjusted to that adjustment around the 10-point marker and went for attacks and prep. Velikaya in turn adjusted a second time and started pulling more and making her attacks smaller. So you can just see there's been a back and forth. Every two touches, they change strategy and adjust to each other.
Yeah, and these two have so much respect for each other too.
It just goes to show how much you need to be focusing 100% in these bouts. If you go to sleep mentally for even a second, just because you're tired or whatever, you're going to be so far behind you can't come back.
Yeah.
You need to be up there making those strategical changes immediately. And they both were, and it was a really good bout. They did a good job.
Yeah, totally.
A beautiful final to a World Championships.
Yeah, it was. Number 1 and number 2, 15-14. Lots of back and forth, lots of really good mental actions in the center. It was a great bout.
Yep, can't ask for better.
Yeah, exactly. Eliza, thank you so much for watching that with me.
Of course, thank you. That was fun.
Yeah.